Someone's mother, father, sister, brother, someone's cousin they haven't seen since last Christmas. That lady with the freckles who serves you coffee every morning. Everyone's smiling, yet something is hiding in plain sight. Sometimes it hides behind a smile, an infectious laugh, or an act of kindness. But past those gritting teeth, you'll never know what's going through someone's head, what thoughts creep through their mind at night. Depression wears many faces. Riley's was one of them.
You never think it's going to happen to you, that it only happens to other people or a friend of a friend. But when it does, you can't help but wonder, how could I have been so naive? Of course it could have happened to me. These kinds of things happen to people all the time, and sometimes it's not even a matter of who it's going to happen to, but when.
Every morning, I'd know Riley had gone off to classes by the smell of burnt toast in the kitchen. But that morning, there was none. After I finished vacuuming, I caught the tail end of a cell phone ringing somewhere upstairs. A few moments later, it rang again, leading me to Riley's room. I looked inside and found it was hers. I saw that Mackenzie had tried to call 3 times. Maybe it was Riley using her phone to try to track hers. Before I let it go to voicemail, I picked it up.
We had a group oral presentation due in class that day, and there was no way I was going to let her bail.
On the phone with Mackenzie, I almost tripped on what I thought was a rope, but it was an extension cord, a really long extension cord leading to her closet. I looked inside and I saw a coffee maker, pillows, dirty mugs. Riley knew I would get on her case if I had known she was pulling all-nighters.
When I called for the upteenth time, Riley's mom picked up. She said that Riley had left her phone behind. And then she asked if I was with her. I was going to ask the same thing.
While we were on the phone, I spotted Riley's backpack still by her bedside. It dawned on me to check the main closet. Her shoes were still there.
She could have taken another pair out. She had a new pair every time I saw her. I used to go out without telling my parents too. Nowadays, if someone doesn't respond to their text right away, we assume the worst.
When I would go out and not tell my parents how long I'd be out for, I'd come home and find that they hadn't slept. And I'd tell them, guys, don't worry about me. And they insisted that once I became a parent, I'd know what it's like.
Angie wanted to call the police, but I insisted we wait until she showed up later that night. She could have gone to a movie and not had reception. I mean, how bad would it look if we started this whole rally and then we find out that she was just over at a friend's place all night playing video games?
John was right not to jump to any conclusions at that moment, but nightfall came, and there was still no Riley. So I made the call.
911, what's your emergency?
I need to file a missing persons report.
Okay, and for whom?
My daughter,
What's her name?
Riley Madison,
How old is Riley?
22,
When did you last see or hear from her?
last night.
Okay, what were the last words exchanged?
I love you too.
That night, I didn't know what to do, so I just kept driving and driving, looking for her. Every other person resembled Riley. I must have driven until the sun came up, went over to Angie's and found her asleep in a chair on her porch, house keys still in hand. She'd been doing overnight watch. I just brought her inside.
Every time a car passed by, I was hoping one of them would stop by and drop Riley off, but they just kept passing. Then one car pulled up to the driveway, and I ran to the driver's side, but it was just a couple using my driveway for a 3-point turn.
It started to really hit us once the police asked for her belongings.
They confiscated whatever they could find any leads from.
You never think it's going to happen to you, that it only happens to other people or a friend of a friend. But when it does, you can't help but wonder, how could I have been so naive? Of course it could have happened to me. These kinds of things happen to people all the time. And sometimes it's not even a matter of who it's going to happen to, but when.
With all of our cell phones and cameras, how do hundreds of people go missing every year? Wouldn't somebody run into someone or say something?
I shared the same sentiment as Angie, but I try not to point out the cold reality that most of us are just too busy with ourselves. And at the first sign of trouble, we wait for someone else to do something about it.
If I could describe Riley in one word.
Describe Riley in one word? Funny. She got that from me.
John said Riley got her humor from him. Oh, please. John is so funny, people forget to laugh. Creative. She was very creative.
That creativity got all over the walls.
Riley growing up was one of those kids that you had to tell to stop talking to strangers because she had a sincere curiosity of everyone.
Did Angie tell you about Riley's friend Mikey?
Mikey.
I was reluctant to enable her or encourage her to have an imaginary friend, you know. She'd bring Mikey to the kitchen table or to family events. They were attached at the hip.
You know, it's normal for a child's development to have imaginary friends. It's like the training wheels to forming real relationships. You know, it's like when kids make a lot of noise. It's just them building relationships to their surroundings.
I was concerned she wouldn't form actual friendships or integrate into society, you know.
Riley would have full-blown conversations with Mikey during class, to the point that I told Riley to tell Mikey to stay outside and that they could play together during recess. I had the children play a game of I Spy, which encourages kids to characterize and articulate their environment. When it came time to be Riley's turn, she said, "I spy with my little eye something that is red." And she said it with such conviction. We asked if it was a classmate's shirt or a binder or, how about the apple by my desk? But she shook her head each time. I told her she had to choose a color she saw, not one she could think of, but she said she did see it. I asked where, and she pointed at the window. There was nothing red there. In fact, there was nothing there other than the schoolyard and trees. I told her to draw what she saw. She drew an elongated ghost with cracked, broken skin, telling me that Mikey doesn't like being outside because it hurts his skin.
One morning, I was getting Riley ready for school, and she was having this temper tantrum because she didn't want to go. And then she goes off and calls me the C word.
The C word?
Oh, it was appalling. I told her that was a very bad word to call mommy. Don't you ever do that again. And I could tell she didn't know what it meant. So I asked her, like, where did you hear this from? From someone at school or something online? She said, that's what Mikey says. Words don't just fall out of the sky. She must have heard it from somewhere. Her dad and I were arguing a lot of the time.
Perhaps she heard it from me, although that's one of those words that's not in my vocabulary. I mean, we all get riled up during arguments, and the recession was bringing out the worst in us, but I'm certain I would have never called Angie that word. So I don't know where Riley heard it from. Maybe me. Hopefully not me.
Well, that time is a blur. I don't know if he said it or not, because it was around the time that John and I filed for divorce.
Even once we divorced, we were stuck living in the same house.
You know, the recession was tearing Arcadia apart. No one was coming in. And if you sold your house, that meant you were losing the shirt off your back, which meant no one was getting out.
It wasn't good for Riley. It wasn't good for any of us. I did my best to stay over at my brother's place whenever I could, but...
No. She didn't really express much at all, the more I think about it. I mean, she definitely didn't want to run away once she met Mackenzie.
Riley and I met in high school, and we immediately shared our favorite pastime, hating stuff.
Mackenzie was over at our place way more often than she was at hers. Those two were inseparable. She'd become like another daughter, and from time to time, she'd help around the house. I had asked Riley if someone had asked her to prom, and she said yes, but said no because her and Mackenzie were gonna write horror films instead. And you know, I wasn't really sure if I should be worried or not, because girls their age are usually going out on dates.
The first relationship is usually the wrong one, so I wasn't worried.
She never talked about what was going on at home, but it took one to know one that something was wrong. It's not that I thought she didn't feel comfortable talking about it, it just wasn't something she ever shared. All I ever got from her was how we're like trees. Although our roots stay the same, our leaves can change, and that can define us instead.
FaceBase isn't cooperating with police to allow us to access her social media profile because it violates their users' privacy guidelines. If this were a criminal investigation, they would have grounds, but because she is missing, she can be purposely out of reach, which makes it a breach of security.
I clicked on her login's forgot password option. It prompted me to either send a code to her recovery email or to answer a security question. The security question was, what is the name of your best friend? I entered my name, but that didn't go through. So I tried Bernard, but Bernard was the 7th grader who called everyone his best friend.
Mackenzie had asked if Riley had any other good friends, but I really thought it would have been Mackenzie. Definitely not that Bernard boy. He didn't smell like the other boys. It took a moment, but someone else came to mind.
Riley never mentioned Mikey to me, but after Angie caught me up to speed, I could see why she would be embarrassed to admit she had an imaginary friend growing up. I didn't find anything in her inbox. I was about to log out when I thought to check her privacy settings, maybe to see if she had someone blocked.
Jason Thompson.
Jason Thompson.
He worked at the auto parts shop down the hill with his brother.
He was known to pick bar fights after taking up wrestling just to try it out on people.
Jason had been expelled a few grades ahead of us after he phoned in a fake bomb threat. Riley didn't have enemies. If anything, she was too much of a people pleaser.
How can someone like Jason Thompson be connected to someone like Riley and to warrant block?
If Jason did anything to her, anything could happen to him too.
Once I unblocked him, I wasn't sure if I should play it out like, it's me, Riley, and see what his reaction would be. Or if I should play my cards and just say, it's me, Mackenzie, I'm looking for any information you may have. I didn't know what to say, but all I knew was that he must have known something. Before I could make a move, I received a message from him.
Send nudes?
Send nudes? I blame the education system. The education system has failed Dan and Lori Thompson's child.
You know, in case she comes home while I'm out.
Most missing people are found within the first few months, but what about all the other ones who are still out there, who are still missing? One thing was for sure. We weren't any closer to finding her.
After everyone was taken in for questioning, police held a grid search of the Darcadia woods. We started down by the river where a string of bodies had showed up a few years back during the summer of fear. And I was upset when I realized Angie had been doing double duty, pulling back-to-back shifts. She wasn't sleeping, she wasn't eating. I said to her, Angie, for everyone's sake, you have to take care of yourself. No one's expecting you to do this on your own. We're all helping each other.
It's one thing to outlive your children, but when they are missing, and they are still out there and needing your help, I just need to know if she's okay. And even if she's not, I still need to know.
I launched a social media page, and there was an outpour of support. And people giving their condolences and sharing their stories on how they also knew people who went missing. I wish Riley could see how much people wanted better for her. Unfortunately, being open to the public left a platform for trolls. People said she was a slut who got what she deserved, or that they saw her downtown as a homeless junkie. Just stupid shit that they would never say to someone's face.
Someone even found my work number and accused me of having killed Riley without the family's knowledge so that they could pass a lie detector test if they were ever asked if they knew anything.
I was receiving calls from private numbers within the same nature. Who knows where they got my number from? The most upsetting part about all this is being accused of her disappearance to exploit donation money.
I had an altercation with someone who was really in my face, saying I should be ashamed of what I did. He caught me on a bad day. There were more bad ones than good back then. So we got into a scuffle. Police took me in. He didn't press charges. It's not something I condone. I really don't.
It was disappointing to hear. And I understood, but you just can't do that.
Some people said she killed herself, she ran away, she got abducted into sex trafficking. Like, when they couldn't come up with a better lead, they just said that she was taken by aliens.
I didn't want to start thinking about that. I had enough to worry about here on Earth, let alone up there.
Some said Marvin Carvin got her.
Marvin Carvin.
Marvin Carvin.
Marvin Carvin is this forest dweller who comes into the suburbs and feeds on unoccupied pets.
It's the most absurd thing.
Don't go down to the creek, my darling, because Marvin Carvin's a starvin'.
Marvin Carvin is just a tale that parents tell their kids to scare them out from going into the woods.
Don't go into the woods with unpackaged raw meats, or else Marvin Carvin will make you his treats.
It's just like parents telling kids that breaking a mirror or walking under a ladder is bad luck. Because broken glass is dangerous, and walking under a ladder is probably because someone is hanging their Christmas lights from second floor shingles.
Marvin, I got a peace offering. There's more where this came from if you just tell me where Riley is.
Someone's coming.
Ah! Whoa. So, you guys just out here? Having fun?
No, not really. We're looking for Marvin Carvin. He says he sees them all the time.
Really? Yeah. All the time.
It's taken a whole other life on its own. Kids trying to scare each other in the dark or to prove how brave they are. Marvin Carvin was more popular than Clifford Cliff, who would push you off the cliff if you stood too close to it. Or No Salt Johnny, who would sting your eyes if you put salt in them. John threw himself in his work, working upwards to 6 or 7 days a week. I thought it was because he didn't care enough and that he'd moved on.
Well, it's not that I've moved on. It's that I'm trying to move forward. Sometimes that's as good as it gets. But one thought that keeps coming to mind is perhaps we need to accept that Riley is gone. And if she really has been gone all this time, maybe all we've been doing is shoveling water in the rain.
John and I came to the conclusion that the old way just wasn't working anymore. That we were just worn down. We never dared to entertain the possibility that Riley could in fact be gone. And that maybe we should start trying to let her go. We agreed that we should put together a celebration of life for Riley, whether she would come home later or not. Others needed to find closure too. We reached out to Mackenzie to produce a slideshow in her honor.
Not only did Mackenzie object, but she objected to the whole idea of us giving up.
I wish I could have given up. I tried giving up. Every time I cried myself to sleep. I tried giving up. Every time I thought I spotted her out in public. I tried giving up. Every time I took the long way home, just so when I got there, I imagined that everything would be back to what it was.
We'll never give up on her, but we can't give up on ourselves, on making the most of what may be out of our control. People will criticize whether we've done enough or not, but trust me, no one will ever be harder on us than ourselves.
Sometimes the only way to move forward is to keep trying. And if you try enough times, maybe there'll be a day that you look back and see how far you've come.
Whether she comes home or not, she'll always have a home, and because of that, in its own way, she'll always be home.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Hey guys, it's me, Carter. I understand you moved in together recently, so I'm just trying Angie's home number for starts. So, listen, I came by earlier today for our interview that was scheduled for 10:30 a.m., but there was no answer at the door. I'll just try your cells, I guess. Okay, bye.
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message.
It's 6:34 p.m. and I haven't heard from either of you today. Just wanted to know if our interview for tomorrow at 3 p.m. is still on. And, if you need anything at all or even a break, just let me know and I can rearrange our schedules, no problemo. Okay, bye.
When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Just calling to confirm if our 3 p.m. is still on before I arrive. Hey, Mackenzie.
Hey.
Have you heard from Angie or John recently?
Like, lately?
Yeah.
Trying to think when I last spoke with them. It must have been a couple of days ago. Yeah, why?
Did they express any sudden plans or, I don't know, perhaps they wanted to take a break from the project?
No, we just talked about the new Marvin Carvin movie that they're shooting here. That and they had to go do groceries. Nothing like that, no.
Yeah, it's just, I've been trying to reach them. Angie especially, she's usually so painstakingly punctual.
I can go check up on them. I'm outside their place. I don't see anyone inside. Oh, I know. I'll get into the house through the garage. I've got the code. Their car is still here. Okay, I'm inside. Hello? Guys? You here? The light is on in the washroom. Guys? Hey, guys? No one's here. No one's here. No one's here.
Mackenzie? Mackenzie?
Yeah?
Call the police.
We brought Mackenzie back in for interrogation, given the fact that 3 people close to her had gone missing within a short amount of time. She had an alibi, so we cleared her. Upon further questioning, she didn't have any information that could help us find Angie or John Madison. No bodies had been recovered from the bay or the nearby shoreline. Sometimes they get carried out to sea. Other times, they get pinned below the surface and we just never find them.
If I went missing, what would I want others to know? Gather all the facts and evidence so this doesn't happen again to someone.
I loved you. I really did. And I hope you knew it.
The people who are out of reach, they're not the only ones who are lost. The ones that are here, trying to hold on and move on, they're lost with us. We are the missing.
I'm doing this once. Okay. I didn't know whether me doing this documentary would be Riley's homecoming or her funeral. Sounds silly. I was afraid that I would jinx it in the wrong direction, so I stayed as far away as I could. Then when Mom and Dad also went missing, I had to get this on the record. I hadn't seen them since the divorce. It was as if a tornado hit us and managed to keep the walls up and the picket fence intact so that no one on the outside could see what we were going through. What hurt worse was the fact that any pain I was feeling felt like I was being punished for the love that I had for our family. It was like every word and every revelation just of how cruel they could be to each other, it just wouldn't let me keep those dreams together. All of the campsites full of oil. And all of the amusement park rides, they're now out of order. I wanted to take all the good memories and hide them somewhere where they couldn't ruin them. But they just kept taking them away from me. I would never wish for a kid to have to separate the parent from the person and realize who they really are. Just like everyone else who had kids, who probably should never have been a parent. It's worse than robbing someone of their childhood or telling them that Santa doesn't exist. It is not giving them a home. Once I could, I moved to Black River County. I wanted Riley to come with me, but she said that she would miss Mom and Dad too much. Black River County's time zone is 4 hours behind Darcadia's. So every night when they would go to bed, she would call me. I appreciate that she could confide in me. But I wanted to be more to her than just some voice on the phone. Some voice couldn't wipe the tears from her eyes. Some voice couldn't hold her and tell her that everything was going to be okay. After everything that we'd been through, that's all her sister amounted to for her.
Was some voice.
Mom and Dad would always offer to pay for my flights back, but I would always talk my way out of it. I couldn't tell them it was because I felt like we were all ghosts, connected by something that was gone. But one memory that they couldn't take away from Riley and I were our movie nights that we'd have every weekend. One Saturday, many summers ago, we went down to the basement, popped bags of popcorn, and sat on the couches, all while not realizing that that would be the last time that we would do that. Sometimes you don't get that big goodbye like in the movies. Sometimes things end unceremoniously. think she's gone for good. You've got me up to speed with how Mackenzie continues to try. I respect her for trying, but sometimes we get answers to questions that were better not being asked over and over again. Eventually, you become exactly what you were looking for. Lost. I don't think she's just looking for Riley. I think she's looking for herself. And I hope she finds who she's looking for.
I almost wasn't going to make this video, and I don't know if I'll be able to get through it, but I'll try my best. You don't realize how much you've taken someone for granted until they're gone, and you don't see them every day. If she's really gone, then I'll just move on with my life and do all the things she believed I could do. My sister had secrets, and to others, her secrets hid other secrets, but she always felt safe to share them with me. And I always thought that I'd be the first to go. And I thought that if she would run away, she'd run away with me. And that we'd be together. Not like this. I felt like our lives were just getting started. And that she still had so much ahead of her. She had so much. If you were gone, sis, I hope it was your choice. If there's anyone who has any leads, you can contact the number in the description. Mackenzie refrained from expressing how she felt about Angie and John's disappearance, despite being in noticeable pain. And I told her that if she needed anything, that I'd be there for her. And she said, the only thing I'll ever ask of you is for you to forgive me, because I know I wasn't always there for you when we were growing up. And I told her that there was always a pull-out sofa at my place that we could take turns on. And she took me up on that offer. And for the next 2 weeks or so, she started coming out of her shell. And she was starting to talk about her future and leaving Arcadia behind, that it was nothing but a reminder of what just happened. Then we packed our bags and we set out to leave the next morning, because tomorrow was going to be the rest of our lives. And the next morning she was gone. And her luggage was still packed. And it was like she had vanished into thin air, just like Riley. And after I uploaded the video I recorded, I realized that I was not the only one.
He went missing. He went missing a few days ago.
There's no way she ran away.
No one seems to know how she disappeared from school.
Sorry.
Parents try to protect our kids from the evils of the world.
Something happened to him. Something happened to him.
I'm sorry to my family.
I try to pretend that it's not him when I'm putting up his picture next to missing cats and dogs.
There's a lot of sick people here who could have hurt her.
He has an unborn child who's gonna grow up not knowing how great his dad is.
There's a lot of people out there who don't care what somebody else is going through. But it means everything to us.
He had goals he was actively working towards.
She was excited to celebrate what would have been her 9th birthday with us.
We had our entire lives ahead of us to spend together.
Many people have a lot of buddies, but not everyone can find a brother.
Her effort to still try to make me laugh every day inspires me more than she'd know.
It's torture.
She still has more birthdays to spend with her loved ones.
Not knowing if something horrible has happened to your brother.
As each day passes, the chances of him still being alive grow slim.
I hope I get the chance to tell her that as much as I think, as much as she thinks that I've helped her, she saved me.
And many people are scared. Scared for her. I'm scared for her.
It takes one person to break up a family, but it takes another to help them heal too.
So if anyone knows anything,
If you have any information,
If anyone knows anything,
If anyone has any information,
if anyone knows anything,
If you know anything,
help us bring him home.
if you're that person, please
contact us.
Can they please contact us?
please reach out.
Thank you.
We will always be looking for him. And if you can see this, know that everyone loves you. And we just want to know if you're okay.
it's surreal. I need to make this video, just like all the others. But I have to. I need to. For her.
Hello, I'm Maxwell Mansbridge, with a story that's developing faster than we can report.
He was last seen visiting his family.
5 locals. 3 more people have gone missing since this morning.
7.
15.
22.
25.
29. 31 in the past 48 hours.
She was last seen leaving from work.
The numbers continue to double, with no curve in sight.
40 people.
45. 11 since this morning. More people have gone missing this week than over the course of last year in its entirety.
Search parties are underway for another 14 locals, 3 of which who were reported missing within the hour.
City officials now discussing putting a curfew into effect.
Out of all of the people who are reported missing, how many aren't reported?
You're listening to Darkadia in the Morning. I'm Amy Bickle with more startling developments concerning the mysterious happenings in our community. As missing persons cases continue to rise, numerous locals voiced frustrations on social media, claiming police have not, in fact, been able to search for their missing loved ones, many of whom having to seek help from private investigators instead. The mayor released a forthright statement condemning private investigators who have been price gouging services, saying it's deplorable to take advantage of the community and that they will be dealt with. Under escalating scrutiny, Darkadia's chief of police held a flash press conference this afternoon, holding the city accountable for their inability to actively respond to each investigation, stressing for the city to expand department funding due to staff shortage and lack of surplus into additional resources required. Citizens were also urged to formally participate in their search parties instead of holding large, unregulated ones, emphasizing the risk of sullying evidence as well as unclear present danger in the Darkadia woods. Forest officials warned that there are areas that only trained professionals are capable of exploring, that many explorers face the risk of cave collapse, coastal erosion, and cliff faces with shallow event horizons. Over the weekend, police gave hefty fines to rogue search parties. Some officers have expressed it's counterintuitive having to spend resources towards these stings instead of searching for their loved ones. However, they must in order to protect the public.
feel like someone's watching me when I sleep. I live alone. It's only started recently. Yeah, they gave me pills. And then those pills became harder pills. And then I had to go on other pills to get off the others. They have no idea what's wrong. If you say yes to every questionnaire they give you and say that you experience fits of being tired or stressed, you'll be diagnosed with and prescribed to everything under the sun. See, the problem isn't me. It's what's happening. It's always cold. Like a damp cold where it gets to the bones and you need to wear a base layer. I had someone check if the walls were insulated. But they were. I even tried sleeping in another room, but the cold followed me the next night. It's something more than mental. It's something instinctual, like there's a presence. You know when you thought you saw something at the corner of your eye but nothing was there, or the hairs at the back of your neck stand up, or when you get that falling feeling when you're laying in bed. That's them. I've woken up with random parts of my body cut from circulation. But not from bad posture. It felt like someone had been squeezing my wrists. I used to always worry that something from out there would come and get me. But never thought how something could have always been here that never made its presence known. Until now.
When Mackenzie said her secrets had secrets, those were my secrets that she kept. Growing up, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I wouldn't be able to move. And it got worse when one time there were these shadowy figures standing at the edge of the bed. And I screamed at my family saying that our house was haunted, but once some doctors took a look at me, they said I just had night terrors. And we kept on trying some meds and eventually kept them at bay. And I didn't tell anybody this because I'd come off as crazy. But there is an explanation for everything, even if there isn't one available right away. And what about you?
Me?
Do you believe in ghosts?
I try not to draw any conclusions, but if there is a God, God works in mysterious ways.
It's superstition. When you pass away, you're dead.
There's really no way to say it, other than they're here.
The most common emotion of the unknown is fear. And we populate it with rituals to make ourselves sleep better at night.
The world is just too big and too vast to assume that we're at the center of it.
When I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, I was so nervous the night before. I couldn't even sleep. But when I went in to get put under, I couldn't remember that splinter of time between the injection and when the dentist assistant woke me up, letting me know everything went well.
They're not going to make themselves just known to anyone, They're not going to open up unless they're let in.
Our brains will completely shut off before we can even process what's happening to us.
Death's never been the end.
And it'll be the same when we're gone. And that's okay.
It's always just been an address.
Think of it this way. Over the millennia, there have been over 108 billion people who have lived here on Earth. Our current global population is only several billion. As time and overpopulation continues, the ratio between how many people are living versus how many ghosts there could be among us continues to widen. If they all made their presence known, this planet would become theirs. But 100 billion ghosts, they haven't. Which begs the question, are they still here? And if not, then where did they go? Do they cross over into an afterlife, or do they travel across time and space to explore the universe? And if ghosts could travel and visit other planets, who's to say that ghosts from distant planets couldn't visit ours?
Ambulance.
We've received word the corner of Somerville and Bilberry in the downtown sector is closed after a deadly car crash occurred within the hour. Witnesses say the vehicle was well over the speed limit before colliding into the side of a parking lot structure. Arcadia in the Morning newscaster, Amy Bickle, was identified as the driver and pronounced dead on the scene. She was 20 years old. On behalf of everyone here at Long Distance Dedications FM, our thoughts and prayers are with her family and loved ones. She was known to be happy-go-lucky.
If you're looking for something healthy and delicious, you should try granola. It's the best tasting clump of pencil shavings you've ever had. This just in, if you're going to make French toast at home, don't use the bread with all the nuts and seeds in them. It's awkward and confusing. Back to you, me. Just a quick recap from the 4th of July festivities. After work and working out, I finished a puzzle and took a nap. God bless America.
Arcadia police learned that Amy posted a troubling video on social media this morning of her experiencing a panic episode. Her friends cited it was very out of character.
You can't go anywhere without seeing one of them on a street corner or staring blankly out of every other window in a building. There's more of them than there are of us. I can't leave my house without passing by one in the living room, just spacing out. Or go on the subway. I don't know who's real and who's not anymore. I started getting these calls from my dad. It's been tense since this accident. I can tell it's him because it feels like I'm falling. Any of us can pick our parents out of a crowd. And it just sounds like he's talking from the back of his throat. It's just telling me to hide. Hide. I hung up the phone. Tried to block it so I couldn't get those phone calls anymore, but they kept coming through. So I took the battery out of my phone. I got one of those alarm clocks that you plug into the wall so you wouldn't get the calls anymore. But I'm still getting woken up by the smell of the cigarettes he used to smoke.
This is where he was. His face was pinned to the wall, like this.
This is an embarrassing video to make, believe me.
I'm making this video for my sister. I had to make this video for my family.
My phone kept ringing every night.
It started with these gut feelings that something was wrong.
She always asks if I hear what she does.
And whenever I'd pick up, there was no one there.
That gut feeling kept me up at night.
When I ask her to describe what she hears,
She said it's like wind whistling in her ear.
The same thing kept happening every time.
I figured it could be a wrong number or an automated call bot, so I let it keep ringing.
And then before I would get up, I would get these Russian nerves through me.
I was running out of options, so I started to record our conversations without her knowing.
I'd come home from work, and the front door would be wide open.
As everyone posting similar situations and even seeing things.
But after a few days straight, I picked it up, and I was about to give them hell. But then I heard something. I was reviewing the episodes, and my microphone picked up on a sound when she said she heard the whistling wind. So I peaked the volume. So I raised the volume on my receiver. And they weren't just sounds. They were words. I could make them out.
The same thing kept happening. The front door was always wide open.
Some man's breathing. And I asked who he was and why he was calling.
I'm not only scared of how it could happen.
It wasn't wind.
But when?
It was whispering.
I could tell that he thought I was crazy.
And all I could hear were sounds coming from the back of his throat. I've begun to hear this whistling wind in my ears too.
Telling you the truth. This really happened to me. Really happened. With everything happening to everyone around here, this was happening to Mommy too.
What the hell is happening to Arcadia? What happened to this city?
Why are they here?
Why est-ce qu'ils apparaissent partout? How could this be happening?
Why now?
Everything's happening so fast. It's hard to catch your breath.
They're everywhere.
How could this be real?
I can see them, but my neighbors can't. I can feel when they're here before I spot them. Sometimes what's worse than not seeing them is knowing they're there.
It just felt like the weight of someone's eyes on me when I was in the house by myself.
They always see me first, before I see them. She won't leave my dining room.
Someone keeps appearing in my garage.
One of them keeps appearing in my stairwell.
Keep finding them in my backyard.
The last one I saw was standing in an elevator with his back facing me.
They're everywhere.
He just stand there.
One of them, they just popped in my rearview mirror.
One of them was on the roof.
She keeps staring at me from outside of my second-story window. More of them are popping up in the middle of the freeway.
Her spine was twisted back.
More houses on my street are becoming haunted.
I'm getting so sick of finding them in our house.
Je m'habituerai jamais au regard sur leur visage. Once I get home, I stay in the dark.
I never turn off the lights.
There's nowhere to hide from them. Personne ne peut se cacher d'eux. They're everywhere you go. I rush home from work and try not to look at one of them, but they're there.
No one's even showing up to work anymore. They're too afraid to even leave their
my
homes.
family leave the house.
I'm never leaving my house.
I don't believe you hurt
If you
anymore.
can help me. Please, if you can help me, I need your help. Left the house in days. I'm not going out there.
There's no way I'm going out there anymore.
I'm so sick of seeing it.
I can't look at them anymore.
I don't know where else to go. I can't even believe what's going on.
Just no way this is real.
How can this be happening?
This can't be my life. I hope this is in my head.
I recognized one of them. Oh God, what's happening?
I tried to ignore it, but the more I tried, the worse it got.
What do they want?
My daughter saw them before I could. They're not supposed to exist. What do they want?
There's more of them popping up every day.
More and more of them pop There's more of them than there are of us.
They're taking over.
There's more of them appearing everywhere.
There's so many out
You
there.
can't go anywhere without running into them.
We're running out of options.
Please, God, help me.
I don't know who to speak
Who
with.
can fix this?
I can't sleep. I can't sleep.
It's getting harder to get out of bed.
I'm afraid to go to sleep.
Please. This can't be real.
Please tell me what to do. I'm trying to be brave for my little girls. But there's not much more I can take.
Et personne ne croit. Qu'est-ce que je dois faire?
What do those things want?
What from us? Tell me what to do. Can you help me?
I don't even know what to do anymore.
We don't know what to do.
Please help.
Can you help me?
It's not reported to be happening anywhere else.
It's a matter of time till they see them too.
No one believes me. No one believes me.
I didn't believe them at first until I started seeing them. They don't believe me. I'm sorry. I don't believe them.
No one believes me.
No one believes me.
No one believes me. No one believes me.
No one believes me.
No one believes me.
No one believes me.
I didn't want to believe it myself. I tried to get all the help I could get.
Why are they here? Why now? It feels like it's the end of the world.
Have you heard of the dancing plague? People kept compulsively dancing for days on end, some of which caused them to die. In 1237, a group of children danced for 20 kilometers. In 1278, hundreds of people's constant dancing collapsed a bridge in Germany. 1518 had the largest isolated dancing outbreak in recorded history. A woman started dancing, and within 4 days there were 33 people, which then grew to 400 in a month, leading to many heart attacks and deaths. Witnesses described that they seemed to be under a trance. We're left only to theorize what had caused these occurrences. But I find it's part of history we don't like thinking about, because if it could happen back then, who's to say some form of mass hysteria couldn't happen again? What form would it take? What would connect us? If it were to happen to us, would we find out the cause? Or would we be some future generation's incident to theorize about? For all those people who go on missing, they probably woke up that morning thinking it was going to be just another normal day. What if we are the missing and we just don't know it yet?
Ever since I was a kid, I've suffered from outer-body experiences. I would float outside my body and could see myself sleeping. The doctor said that it was just visual hallucinations, and meds have kept them under control, but recently it's started to happen again. Except this time I find myself floating much further away. I floated outside the bedroom window of some lady's apartment. This weird humming started coming from her room, and a darkness just suddenly swallowed the entire apartment. As my eyes adjusted, I could make out this shadowy figure standing at her bedside, with its hands stretched out towards her. This blue energy started draining from her chest, and it absorbed into the shadow person instead. And then, right before my eyes, she just vanished into thin air without a trace. Fear started to hit me pretty hard. I really wanted to wake up. And then the shadow person turned towards me. Its stare just all scrambled. But I managed to recoil back to my bedroom. Except when I got there, there was another one of them standing beside my bedside, trying to drain the blue energy from my sleeping body below. I snapped back into my body and it was just gone. The next morning, I thought I'd waken up from just the worst nightmare that I'd had in a while. Until later that day, I checked the news. I recognized that lady. She had a name. And now she was just reported missing. What's worse than waking up from a nightmare is waking up into one. Since then, I don't sleep. I drink as much coffee as I can until my lips are too chapped, and then I just pop caffeine pills instead. My roommate is concerned for my mental well-being. She doesn't believe me. I got tired of being scolded every time I go to make another cup of coffee, so I ended up just buying my own coffee maker instead and running an extension cord into the closet. They eat at you while you sleep until they get you like a parasite. But they don't look like these ghosts that keep popping up. They don't look like they're from around here. I'm still here. The thing is, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I don't know if this is the solution or if I want to borrow time and just go to sleep.
On the phone with Mackenzie, I almost tripped on what I thought was a rope, but it was an extension cord, a really long extension cord leading to her closet. I looked inside and I saw a coffee maker, pillows, dirty mugs. Riley knew I would get on her case if I had known she was pulling all-nighters.
What's worse than waking up from a nightmare is waking up into one. Since then, I don't sleep. I drink as much coffee as I can until my lips are too chapped, and then I just pop caffeine pills instead. My roommate is concerned for my mental well-being. She doesn't believe me. I got tired of being scolded every time I'd go to make another cup of coffee, so I ended up just buying my own coffee maker instead and running an extension cord into the closet.
On the phone with Mackenzie, I almost tripped on what I thought was a rope, but it was an extension cord.
Running an extension cord.
A really long extension cord leading to her closet.
Into the closet.
I looked inside and I saw a coffee maker.
Buy my own coffee maker.
Pillows, dirty mugs.
They eat at you while you sleep until they get you like a parasite.
Riley knew I would get on her case if I had known she was pulling all-nighters.
So today I was out and about running some errands when I noticed someone was taking photos of me, and I told him he was a creep, and I went about my day. But later this afternoon it was him again, so I took out my phone and I chased him down.
That's Maxwell Mansbridge. What is he doing?
Hey! Who are you? Hey! Hey! Who are you? Quit taking photos of me.
I'm not taking photos of you. I'm taking photos of who's following you.
And then I asked him, well, show me the photos then. And he showed me the photos and it was just me. And he said he was convinced that ghosts weren't showing up on anyone's videos or photos, but that he was hoping to catch one with me. And so I told him to just get lost. And then after he left, I heard a voice whisper in my ear, but there was no one there. It was a man. His name was Mikey.
Did Angie tell you about Riley's friend, Mikey?
Mikey.
She drew an elongated ghost with cracked, broken skin, telling me that Mikey doesn't like being outside because it hurts his skin.
What's wrong? Who's Mikey? Growing up, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I wouldn't be able to move. And it got worse when one time there were these shadowy figures standing at the edge of the bed. And I screamed at my family saying that our house was haunted. But once some doctors took a look at me, they said I just had night terrors. I could make out this shadowy figure. There were these shadowy figures standing at her bedside, standing at the edge of the bed. This blue energy started draining from her chest and it absorbed into the shadow person instead. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I wouldn't be able to move. It's a ghost town. The news are reporting hundreds of thousands of locals that have vanished, including Carter. No one's leaving their homes. And Carter left me a voice message.
I woke up thinking I slept through the day, but I didn't. It's almost noon and it's still dark out. It's not that something is in the dark. The dark is something. Mackenzie.
Hide.
Mackenzie?
It just sounds like he's talking from the back of his throat. He's just telling me to hide. Hide.
No one believes me.
No one believes me.
No one.
Hide.
Mackenzie? Mackenzie.
Hide.
No.
Hide.
I'm gonna hang up now, Mackenzie. Goodbye. Those ghosts weren't trying to scare us. They were trying to tell us to hide from something else. Whatever that something was, it's something not from this world. It's something trying to get into ours.
She'd been editing this documentary along the way and backing the rest of it up onto an online drive. And when she texted me last night, she sent me her login and her password, entrusting me to finish this. And I promised to. Since that fateful night, the curve flattened. Whatever hung over Darcadia came to pass, like the dark cloud it was. People started to leave their homes again. Stores reopened, and over time, life returned to normal. For a while, tragedy brought us all together. There was a greater appreciation for hugs, even from strangers. I could tell we were back to normal when someone gave me the middle finger in traffic. As most people are moving forward, I can't help but think, if this could have happened, who's to say this won't happen again? If not in our lifetime, what about our kids' lifetimes? What kind of strange new world are we entering them into? Regardless, in trying to move forward, I don't want to think about those who want to tear the world apart. I want to look forward to everyone who'll try to put it back together. And although missing someone is painful, it's better to know you experienced love than to miss out on it entirely. There's just one thought that does creep in my mind, and it's that whoever you are, just know that if it could have happened here, it can happen anywhere.
As Darcadia rebuilds after the mass disappearances, children in the greater area have been experiencing a phenomena where they are reported to be drawing the same thing. When asked by their teachers to draw a self-portrait with their best friend, they drew the following. Parents and the public alike investigated that there is no children's TV show which may have had depicted that same lady. When the children were further asked why she's their best friend, they said she helps keep the bad people away.
I was a fool too far. Get away. Guess that's goodbye. Once again. Once again. Alone. No longer waiting for you. 'Cause I guess I'm fine on my own, on my own. just